Good afternoon and welcome to NASA's Johnson Space Center for our Crew-9 Crew News Conference today. I am joined in studio by our Crew-9 crew. Going down the line, we have Crew-9 Commander Zena Cardman, Crew-9 pilot Nick Hague, and Crew-9 Mission Specialist Stephanie Wilson, and Alexander Gorbunov. We'll be taking questions from here in the room and on our phone bridge, but before we kick it off, we'll start with opening remarks from Zena. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Hello, welcome. I'm so grateful to see everyone here present in the room with us, and also welcome to those tuning in online. I am absolutely honored to be here with my crewmates who have been an incredible team, Nick, Stephanie, and Alex. They have shown so much technical excellence. They are also deeply kind and incredible teammates who have been really fun to work with, which has just made this a dream assignment for me. We're also just a part of the Expedition 72 crew, so our colleagues Alexei, Ivan, and Don Pettit will be launching on a Soyuz in September. We're very thrilled to be getting to work on the International Space Station. Yesterday actually marked the end of a roughly 18-month training flow for us. And so right now we are excited and focused as we turn towards this pre-launch phase of our mission. We're very excited to be here and looking forward to your questions.
All right, well, we will start with our first question here in the room.
Hi, Will Robinson Smith with Spaceflight Now. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us and talk with us today. Wonder, just going down the row here, obviously, having the opportunity to go into space is a time to bring some special mementos with you. I wonder what things you're looking forward to taking with you and why you happen to choose those as special things. Thanks.
We have a few personal items packed. Of course, for me, one big item is photographs, memories from home, taking with me people who are deeply meaningful to me, family, friends, those who have supported us. I'm also taking things for our ground support teams, the instructors who have trained us, prepared us for our mission, and the people who really make human spaceflight happen on the ground. And so having a piece of them with us in orbit is really special, a great opportunity.
Yeah, one thing I'm taking different than last time is something that didn't exist last time, a Space Force flag. As an active duty Space Force officer, it's a privilege to be able to represent all the guardians that help support human spaceflight as they watch the skies and the cosmos that surrounds the Earth, keeping us safe every day. So that's one of the things I'm taking along.
And similarly for me, it's important to be able to share this opportunity in the moment with family and friends. And so I am also taking personal photographs of family and friends to be reminded of them and to stay connected with them, and also to help me to tell the story of the mission once it's all complete and when we return home.
Я также возьму с собой фотографии друзей, родственников, но есть еще вещи, которые дороги мне и символизируют определенные этапы в моей жизни.
I will also be taking photographs of my family and my friends, and there are also some other items which are very important for me and which represent different milestones of my life.
Например, к таким вещам относится эмблема нашего набора, набор 2018 года.
For example, the patch of our class, that's 2018 class.
А также флаг института, который я закончил в 2014 году. В следующем году институту будет 95 лет, знаменательная дата.
And also the flag of the higher education institution that I graduated from in 2014, and next year it will be the 95th anniversary of this institution.
Okay, we'll take another question from here in the room. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mark Carreau from Aviation Week in Space Technology. My question is looking forward to some of the activities you'll be doing, and I'm particularly interested in maybe the kinds of spacewalks and the activities that you're prepared for during your months on the station.
We have a mission that is jam-packed full of science. Of course, the International Space Station is an orbiting laboratory. This is one of the most important things that we do. And so for me, coming from a scientific background, I'm actually very much looking forward to doing research that's very interdisciplinary, very integrated, and is at varying levels of technological readiness. Some of it is very fundamental research. Some of it is more of a technology demonstration. a lot of the science that we'll be doing is actually research on ourselves as human bodies. The way that we respond to the spaceflight environment is incredibly interesting. We're still looking to understand that as we move farther and farther beyond low Earth orbit. And some of the effects that we experience, things like effects on our vascular system, on our genetics, are very similar to aging populations and immunocompromised populations on Earth. And a lot of the research that we will be doing, therefore, helps people on the ground.
Yeah, touching on the spacewalk aspect and the content of some of the things we're going to be doing up there. Obviously, there's been changes. Spaceflight is dynamic, and we're prepared to conduct not just what was originally planned for us, but we've been spending the last couple weeks coming up to speed on all those things that got deferred from the summer. It's a testament to our training team to get us ready and to be ready to respond and be flexible for all these things. It's also fun to have our Chief Training Officer here in the audience. Grant has done a phenomenal job getting us ready, so thank you.
Additionally, we will have cargo vehicles that will visit us on the International Space Station. We'll have SpaceX 31, which will bring cargo to the International Space Station. And additionally, Dream Chaser is also scheduled for 2024. So we'll be working with those experiments and those new systems, components that will arrive at the International Space Station to complete the mission objectives.
Okay, we have another question here in the room. Gina, go ahead.
Gina Sinceri, ABC News for Nick. Sorry, for Nick. You talked about the U.S. Space Force. Tell me the advantage you have going to the space station to expand the U.S. Space Force presence. And you're a Guardian. How does this all play together for you?
Yeah, so inside of the astronaut corps, we have several active duty military members that are assigned to work for NASA. And that's we've got a long history of that level of cooperation. And so it's great to be able to serve not only in the Space Force, but also serve my nation as part of the astronaut corps. Expanding what I think the biggest impact of me being on this mission as a Guardian is going to be is just raising awareness. There are a lot of things that the Space Force does that are instrumental to making human spaceflight possible, whether that's providing us support to launch and land or keeping us safe by moving us out of the way or warning us of potential debris.
Okay, we'll head over to our phone bridge now, but if there are any additional questions in the room, please be sure to get our attention. We will start with Robert Perlman with Collect Space.
Thank you. Looking at the patches that are representing your mission, the Crew-9 patch is colorful and full of symbolism. And then you look at the Expedition 72 patch, and it's almost the most straightforward patch since Expedition 1. Did your crew lead the design of both patches, and how did those two come about?
The Crew-9 patch, of course, was designed with inputs from Crew-9. This one was designed by Blake Dumesnil, who has done a lot of patches for NASA and crewed flights in the past. There's a lot of symbolism in every patch. So for the Crew-9 patch, we, of course, have Falcon. This is some synergy between Crew-9 and the Falcon 9 rocket on which we will launch. Our destination is the International Space Station. The constellation in the background is Draco, as a nod to our Dragon spacecraft and the engines that will take us there. The colors are also symbolic. The red, yellow, white, and black is actually a nod to the maritime signaling flag for the number 9, fun fact. And the purple was serendipitous, but we happen to have embraced it deeply. The Expedition 72 patch was actually led by Don Pettit, who is already in Star City on his way to the International Space Station in September. And it really is a nod to the long-standing history of the space station, which has been human-occupied for more than 20 years now. But you'll notice, of course, the space station looks quite a bit different than it did in Expedition 1, and I'm very grateful to be flying with people who actually helped in its construction.
Okay, we'll take our next question on the phone bridge from Bill Harwood with CBS News.
Thank you very much. This is a question for Nick, I think. How is the only guy there I know of anyway who's been through a rocket anomaly? How closely have you guys been able to follow the Falcon 9 anomaly investigation, and how confident are you in your rocket? Any thoughts you have would be appreciated.
Yeah, I'm extremely confident in the team, the approach that they've taken, the integrated approach in which NASA has been incorporated into the response, and am excited to strap onto the rocket when the team decides it's time to go. Yeah, we've been integrated. We actually were out at SpaceX and Hawthorne training, and it was the day after the anomaly, and from the get-go, they brought us into the conversation and told us everything that they knew. So it's been a spectacular response.
Yeah, I completely agree. We've been so grateful for the transparency and the collaborative nature of this as we understand what happened and how we move forward. We are really confident, and we will go when the crew is ready, when the rocket is ready, the capsule is ready, and the space station is ready for us.
Okay, we'll head back to the phone bridge. Our next question is from Elizabeth Howell with space.com.
Thanks, everyone, for finding the time. I was curious if you're going to be doing anything fun for some of the sports events that happen, especially in the fall. And so I was thinking maybe the World Series, or if you're staying that long for the Super Bowl. What do you folks want to do?
We would love to be involved with any and all of the sports events, and there's a wonderful public affairs team at NASA that I'm sure will work those events for us and tell us the best ways that we can contribute. But celebrating sports and wonderful events on Earth is a nice way for us to stay connected, for us to have a little bit of fun aboard the International Space Station. So we look forward to participating in those sporting events as we're able to, and as the PR team assembles that plan together for us.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Sophie with Cosmic Chicago.
Good afternoon. Thank you for taking my call. This question is for Stephanie. Several years, about 14, have passed since your last space flight, and I noticed on your bio that you've done a lot of behind-the-scenes work prior to different missions. A lot of us don't get to see that work. One of the panels that you worked on was as a representative to increase crew size generic operations panel. That doesn't have an acronym as far as I know. But can you tell me a little bit about some of the work that you've done that's informed the current situation on the space station, or what you hope to see, given that right now we have a huge number of astronauts on station? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. And yes, as part of my work in between missions, I participated in a panel, as you said, called the 7 Crew Joint Operations Panel. And at the time, as we were building the International Space Station, initially starting as a crew of 3, building up to a crew of 6, and then having a team to look at how we would, in a stepwise manner, institute and build up the systems that could support 7 crew. And so all of that work laid the foundation to our operations for today, as we're able to have 7 crew members aboard the International Space Station as a steady state operation. And so excited that as part of being able to build the International Space Station, now having an opportunity to return and to see it all assembled, and actually to have a chance to visit some of the components that I brought up on earlier space flights, but to really see that ongoing presence, to see how the systems continue to operate. And in some cases, some of the science experiments also have continued or stopped for a portion and then recontinued. Really looking forward to seeing how things are operating now, and having a chance to experience that and tell the story.
Okay, our next question is from Douglas with Payload.
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So my question, I think it was Zena that mentioned that a lot of the science would be studying how their bodies react to a longer stay in space. I was wondering what the mentality is going into a 6-month stay on the ISS, knowing that your body's going to be undergoing a lot of stress and, like you said, kind of mimicking the aging process. How do you kind of reconcile that and prepare yourself mentally for that aspect of the mission?
For me personally, it's actually incredibly fulfilling. It's such a privilege to fly in space, and if what our bodies are experiencing can then also help us understand diseases and different effects to compromised populations on the Earth. This is incredibly valuable. And so for me, this is just a giant privilege. Of course, we know that our bodies are going to experience changes. We do so much to help mitigate and prevent those changes, from exercise to support from nutritionists. I think it's fascinating, and I'm really looking forward to participating in research as both a scientist and a subject.
Okay, we'll take our next question here in the room. Go ahead.
This can be for whoever wants to answer this. Over the last few crew rotation missions, we've seen some really interesting bites at the apple, if you will, of how to share what the day in life is like on board station. Do any of you have anything in particular, either in collaboration with some folks that are currently on station or have been on station, that you're kind of cooking up behind the scenes that you can share with us?
Yes, I think we all have different approaches to this, which I absolutely love. On board during our expedition, we will have crew members who were born in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, and so we all have a really complex story to tell. Don Pettit, our crewmate launching on Soyuz, is an incredible photographer. I'm really looking forward to not only seeing what he produces, but learning from him and hoping that I can get even a tiny little bit of his expertise while we're there. And Stephanie, meanwhile, really wants to share the story of how station has evolved since she started participating in its construction. But I'll let other people add how they want to contribute.
Yes, I would, as Zena mentioned, like to, in a way, chronicle the assembly of the International Space Station and over the period, highlight certain components or systems or payloads or window facilities that we have added to the International Space Station, and try to tell the story of perhaps how that component flew and some initial information about the background and then how it's being operating today. I think that that's a great way to tell the story of the International Space Station. It is a wonderful orbiting laboratory that we have the honor of working with our colleagues, our international colleagues, in doing this international research. And it's just one way that we can tell our story and bring everyone along with us.
Okay, we'll take another question here in the room.
Gina Sinceri, ABC News, actually for all of you. Two of you have been to the space station before, and last week we heard the plans on how station will be deorbited. So is this a little bittersweet for you guys going up to station?
There's a lot of time before we get to 2030, and so I'm looking forward to all the things we're going to accomplish before we get there. It is amazing what you are able to get involved in over the course of 6 or 7 months. You just become part of this machine, this living, breathing laboratory that's up there, and you feel the extension on the ground to the hundreds and thousands of people that are supporting you day in and day out. And then you land, and you've almost forgotten everything that you did up there because you were going so fast and chasing that red line and trying to get everything done that you could possibly do. So I'm excited to grab the baton again and see what we can accomplish.
And in that same vein, having lived through or been part of the space shuttle program and seeing that retire, of course, is bittersweet. And then continuing the International Space Station program again with the deorbit vehicle and having the potential end of the International Space Station program will also be bittersweet. But in ending programs, that also means that we're able to extend our work in other programs. So looking forward then to the research and the long duration missions, deep space missions that we will conduct with our lunar missions and our Mars missions after that. So of course it does mean that we're closing the book, so to speak, on one phase, but it enables us to do more extensive work in the next phase.
Okay, our next question is from David with About Space Today.
Good afternoon. I'd like just to talk to Alex about his impression of being possibly trained in a Soyuz and now going to sit in a Dragon space capsule. What is it like to him?
Ощущения у меня великолепные и от Дрэгона, и от подготовки, и от предвкушение предстоящего полета.
I have great impressions from Dragon and from training and anticipating the upcoming flight.
Конечно, была долгая подготовка по Союзу, начиная с времен ОКП.
Of course, I had a very long training for Soyuz flights, starting from my ASCAN program.
Сейчас практически в течение года была подготовка на Дрэгоне и на американском сегменте.
And right now, for about a year, I had training mostly focused on Dragon and US segment.
И, конечно, есть моменты, которые можно сравнить в подготовке Союза и в подготовке на корабле Dragon.
And of course, there are aspects of training that I can compare between Soyuz and Dragon.
Ну и в целом я хотел бы сказать, что нужно сравнивать не подготовку как полностью к полету на корабле, а как подготовку конкретных специалистов, конкретной должности в корабле. Например, на Союзе это борт-инженер 2, который сидит в правом кресле, на Дрэгоне это специалист миссии.
And I think it's better to compare not training on Soyuz versus training on Dragon, but more training for specific roles. Like, for example, on Soyuz, Flight Engineer 2, which is right seat, is similar to Mission Specialist on Dragon.
И с точки зрения затрат времени, с точки зрения обязанностей экипажа, эти должности достаточно похожи.
In terms of time needed for this training and the responsibilities, these two positions, they're pretty similar.
Основное, что должен иметь как специалист миссии, так и борт-инженер 2, это обеспечить свою безопасность как в номинальном полете, так и в случае нештатных ситуаций.
So the main responsibilities for both Mission Specialist on Dragon and Flight Engineer 2 on Soyuz, that's to provide their own safety during the flight, whether it's a nominal flight or during off-nominal situations.
И, конечно, это моя первая миссия, но надеюсь, что не последняя. В дальнейшем я смогу сравнить полет на Дрэгоне с полетом на Союзе.
So this is going to be my first mission, and I hope not my last one. So I still hope to have an opportunity late in the future to compare training and flying on Soyuz and Dragon.
Okay.
But my question would be, going a little bit beyond that, is it like from being in a Soyuz, like a small apartment, and now going to a luxury apartment in comparison?
I don't have a translation.
Repeat the question.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Training in a Soyuz, is that like being in a small apartment and now getting into the Dragon, which is like a luxury apartment?
Да, размеры, конечно, у капсул разные. Союз по объему гораздо меньше, Dragon побольше, но не стоит забывать, что у Союза есть еще второй отсек, который называется бытовым отсеком. То есть Союз маленький, но двухкомнатный, а Dragon большой, но однокомнатный.
Yes, that's correct. The size of the vehicles is different. Soyuz is smaller and Dragon is larger. But don't forget that Soyuz has basically two rooms, two smaller rooms, and Dragon has one larger room.
Okay, our next question comes from Reed Kisselback.
Hi, thank you for taking the call. First of all, I just want to wish you all the best of luck on your upcoming mission. I have a question for Stephanie. We cover an area in upstate New York near Albany, and that includes your actual alma mater of Taconic High School. And so I was wondering if there's any message you'd like to share with them and any advice you would like to give to kids from our area who may have similar aspirations to one day end up like you.
Yes, I very much enjoyed my time growing up in Western Mass, and I miss that part of the country. It's a beautiful area. I miss the weather and the snow and the skiing and the change of seasons and the wonderful community that's there. for my high school, Taconic High School, or other students in the area. It is a small town, and when I was growing up, there were about 40,000 people living in a town, Pittsfield, Massachusetts. And I like to say that big dreams can come from small places. And I had great support from my family, from my parents, for whom education was very important. And so I'm very thankful that they were encouraging of me throughout my education, and the teachers that I had in that community were also very supportive and instructive. And my message is really find your dream, find what you're passionate about, pursue it with all that you can. And even though you might come from a small place, remember that big dreams can come from small places.
A great message to end on, and that's all the questions we have for today. Thank you all for tuning in. Thanks to our crew for being here and answering the questions. You can follow the latest on Crew-9's mission to the International Space Station on nasa.gov/commercial-crew. And a quick note for our media, Don Pettit will be available for live shots remotely from Star City, Russia on August 16th, and we have more information about that coming soon. Thanks for joining. We'll be back soon.